Asimvusele sinimukele lamhla ehlelweni Kusile breakfast show sevele insimbi yesithupha namhla ekseni sanimukela sanivusela lapho ubukela khona umsakazo Eswatini TV sinivusele lamhla ekseni kungumsombuluko 13 enyangeni yendlovu lenkhulu sibaya kuye impela somvo sesemba ukuthi nibe nempela somvo lenhle nalephephile nalebusisekile asesibukena ngombiko belitiko tempilo. Until viki kusukela mhla ka-5 kuya kumhla ka-11 March ilitiko letempilo lihlole abantu labangu-420 labangu-56 batfoleleka ukuthi bane-COVID-19 kanti munye kuphela losesibhedlela labelashwako kudeke labasishiyile emhlabeni kungumanje labanawo lomkhuhlane lapha eveni bangu-74 kuphela kanti solawabhetfuka lasebawutholile bangu-74,000 323 bese kuthi lasabashiya emhlabeni bangu-1425 lasabaluleme inombolo etintsha tikuma ukuthi bangu-29 kanti ke nokugoma nako solo kuyachubeka ebenilonke njengoba lizinga lekugomela lomkhuhlane so lili ku-35%. Mhlahleleni ke sitaba sikhulumisana nemphathi wenkampani yaka-Renac lakhumuleka ukuthi nakucala lenyanga lesetulu mhla ka-2 lenkampani ememetela ukuthi iEswatini isayitawucala kusebenza kusukela mhla ka-26 March ikhokhileke nema-scheduled operations ayo ukuthi ema-flights lafa ekhathi ema-flights asuka lapha eSwatini aye Durban naseHarare nase-Cape Town atawubita malini ukuthi atawuhamba kanjani sitaba sikhulumisana naye CEO Uciniso Dlamini kwabantu ukuthi ingabe yini lena lethethe isikhathi ngoba silakhumula ukuthi lo msebenzi lona wendiwe ngetigaba nangetigaba kwathi ekugcineni iEswatini yaniketwa i-certification sitaba sikhulumisana naye ukuva abantu ukuthi ingabe yini lokho lekwende ukuthi uthatha isikhathi lesingaka sikhulumisana naye nje ngemathuba emsebenzi basilakhumula ukuthi imisebenzi linjengalena ivulela abantu emathuba emsebenzi sitaba sikhulumisana naye CEO Uciniso Dlamini lomhla ekseni nga-6:30 ukuthi ngala kwa-7 sitaba sicocisana naye umxhumanisi wamaphoyisa nesive superintendent Pindile Vila kade kuva ukuthi ngabe lempela somvo lesuka kiyo beyime kanjani ikakhulu kade nje masibuka tikigaba noma ke tigameko letibikiwe emaphoyiseni njengoba silakhumula ukuthi sibuya khona kuphela somvo lebeyiphizitela lapho khona bekunemsebenzi lobalekile lapha eveni umsebenzi wamakhosi lobanjele lapha ehlano umsebenzi webukani sifuna ukuva nje ukuthi ngabe vele mhlambe impela somvo ihambe kanganani njengoba sihlale simuva nje njalo ngemaviki onke asichazele ukuthi tigameko letfaka naleti tibuka kwangathi tinyukile kakhulu kade leto tekwebiwa kwetimoto sifuna ukuva ukuthi ngabe this weekend ingabe kuhambe kanjani and of course sibuke dona tindzaba tetemidlalo lebetendeka kule mphela sonto ngala kwaloko nyalo sitawuthatha likhefu sibuye sithathe tindzaba tetfuna mhlexeni.
Pay your TV license quickly and easily with MTN Momo. Simply dial *007 *3 hash and select option 8 for TV license. Enter your national ID number as your reference and the amount you wish to pay. Then enter your PIN to confirm your payment. Once your payment has been made, you'll receive a confirmation SMS of your payment. If you're a first-time payer, you get another SMS for your TV license. So legalize your entertainment from the comfort of your home. Pay your TV license the easy and convenient way with MTN Momo.
Everywhere you go, MTN.
senze sinivusele sikumukele nawe lo sanza kusivulela sitongene 1873 emakhosi sekadumise libutho lelithango ngemgcumo wona ngemandla lelwafakako kulomkhosi njengoba nalonyaka libutho libulala inyoka silenkosi Mswati sithathu siphefumula esigodlweni ehlane emkhosini webuganu sithe live lihle ngenhlonipho ngako kumgcoka ukuthi lichubeke nekugcina yona inhlonipho njengoba leSwatini latiwa ngayo indlovukazi emhlekazi ikuthathela uthango ukuthi liphume ngemandla lungenelele ukhetho.
Libutho lelithango lendele tibukwa kwembi kwemakhosi enkundleni esigodlweni ehlane njengoba bekulilangale ukuthi libutho libukise ngebugabazi balo lisasasa kulomkhosi wobuganu nalonyaka lingulelisetulu umkhosi wobuganu lemnye yemikhosi live lelitichenya ngawo kulomkhosi kulapho emakhosi abandzawonye nelibutho lelithango kanye nesive sonkhana semaswati kugubha lomkhosi ngalomkhosi emakhosi aphinze futhi akhuthade agcugcutele bophezu komkhono ukuthi bakhona ukutimela batiphilise phinze futhi emakhosi yakhuthade inhlala kahle nemalungelo abo bomake njengoba kuleli viki live belikade limdzibi munye nemhlaba kugubhala ilanga labomake emhlabeni emakhosi kulona mkhosi abekade asingethwe divakashi letibuya ngephandle netivakashi letifaya ekhathi labo labancusele emave abo kuleli netinhlangano letibambisene nelive tinhlangothini letehlukene tetentuthuko kanye nemka waloyo lobeka ngumengameli welive leNingizimu Afrika bekakhona-ke nandvunankulu neliphini lakhe indvuna tembuso boba betikhulu kanye nalabanye labakhulu embusweni sesiphefumulela umhlaba silo inkosi Mswati wesithathu sibusise inkhundla lensha lapho kophezu komkhono sebatogitsela khona eminyakeni kulomkhosi ingwenyama iphinze yakhuthatha bophezu komkhono ukuthi bashumayele inhlonipho esiveni semaswati nakumlibalo yayimbili
sithumisa wonke umsebentile enwendile lithango lomuhle nekuphuma nishonele emahlathini kubonale ukuthi kulandwa sona sihlahla seliganu njoba nembala selenda imisebentile eminyenti lenda bojamu lenda emafutha lenda ema cosmetic lenda nalokwa lende kudla ubone ukuthi nembala mukhulu umsebenzi walesihlahla lithango akusasiko nje ukuthi kulandwa sihlahla kuphela kepha ke ngisho netekukhangisa eveni sevele sengiso lesinye umkhosi kangwane lokukhangisa live lemaswati njoba naku nje lithango ninjena kugcwelela hlane kubonakala tiyakhula letindzawo tikhuliswa ngeyo lemisebenzi lenathwa kuyawuthumisa emazulu kuthumisa labalele imisebenzi yenu lemihle leniyendako yekuta kubonase ukuthi nita nangenhlonipho ngoba konke lenikwendako niphethe inhlonipho nihambisa inhlonipho embili sisive singemaswati impilo yethu inhlonipho sifanele siphile ngayo singayilahli ngoba ngekulahla inhlonipho sabe sitilahla thine naNkulunkulu emazulwini uyawufike athi njoba nganiketa ukuthi nineniba kangwane nibe inhlonipho nibe ukuthi ithoba nase nenda njani ukuthi siyajabula nje nasibona inhlonipho lenkulu nekuthi ithoba elithangweni lokuhle lokuba lapha nje kukhomba kona kukhomba ukuthi nisenhlonipheni ukuthi ibambeni nibambe kanjalo lithango nifundzise live lonke nalabangakakwati labangakafundzi bafunze lapha kini ngenhlonipho
indlovukazi emhlekazi ithi ethulo letethulwe bophezu komkhono tikhomba ukuthi live lingayikhahlela indlala indlovu yemhlaba iphindze yakhuthatha uthango ukuthi lufake emandla lukhethane kulolu khetho lolutako kude bomake batawukhona kufaka isandla ekwakheni live
labe kuhlahlelwa ingoma ukuthi nathi singete sasala makwakhiwa live nakahoho sikhulumile bekunene ukuthi bophezu komkhono asebasukume nabo asesiyekele ukuthi bukelela phansi sibukelane phansi asesibe bophezulu bomkhono nje nathi kubonakala sinathi sinalo likhono phezu komkhono nasi sikhethane sihambe siyokwakha lemithetho lapha sihambe siyokwakha ukuthi lelive lifanele lithuthuke lenjani ngoba lelive fanele sithi thuthukisele bekunene kude lonke ntasithuthukisela ngaphandle ukuthi sine sithi sukumele
kuleli langa lesibili lalemkhosi leli butho liholwa ngemakhosikazi silo inkosi Mswati wesithathu ligithe enkundleni ehlane kwathela sibukele lisagitha wona umbuyiso libutho livakele lihlabelela ingoma leliticambile njengoba imbubo emhlaba ihlala ikhuthata lona likhono lokucamba ingoma letinsha ngemuva kokuthi kugidwe ummiso kube sesekugidwa njiloni libe sekuyinkhomba yokufika emaphethelweni kwemiso Luthango lube seke seluvele lungena emkhunjini luyathamba ukuba mnanzi sibili luholwa ngemakhosikazi silo inkosi Mswati wesithathu nakulihlangothi libutho lendele tibukwako kanike nalelibuya ngephandle kwelive Luthango nalo alikasalele ngephandle njengoba namakezuma umka loyo lobeka ngumengameli eNingizimu Afrika His Excellency Jacob Zuma naye wendele tibukwako enkundleni embi kwemakhosi etintsabeni bika Pholile Maziya esigodlweni ehlane
Inkosikazi Makela Motha seyithekele lwati lokuthuthukisa indzawo temitapo yelwati eveni leSwatini lokhu kwenteke ngesikhathi inkosikazi isingethe isilo inkosi Mswati wesithathu elihambeni lwayo imbube lebelibheke eveni le-State of Qatar.
Inkosikazi Makela Motha lebeyisingethe ingwenyama silo inkosi Mswati wesithathu elihambeni lwayo lapho bengenele umhlangano wemavela sathuthuka lebo 7 leKatar ithi lekuthekele kulela live kungalithuthukisa kakhulu leli laMswati isekulela live inkosikazi laMotha ivakashele indzawo yemtapo welwati iQatar National Library inkosikazi ithi lena ndzawo ikhanze ukuthi isecophelelweni lelisetulu kutelwati temfundvo telicwaningo kanye netemasiko kubala lokumbalwa kwadise ukuthi uphindze lo mtapo ugcine umlando welive nebukhosi Inkosikazi Makela Motha ithi kumcwako ukuthi imitapo yelwati libraries yalapha eveni leSwatini ithuthuke ifike kulelizinga lapho itawukwati kuthuthukisa impilo yemaswati kuto tonke tigaba temfundvo ebhizinisi netebuchwephesha kuphindze futhi kusitakale tonke tinhlobo tebantfu kufaka ekhathi Luthango, Imbali, Laqobetelako, nalabakhubatekile eveni kubala labambalwa. Inkosikati ithi munyendo umsebentili wenziwa ngumtapo wolwati eveni leKhatha lokufaka ekhathi kulolonga emakhono luhlangothi lwetebuchwephesha kanti iphindze futhi isebenzisane nemanyuvesi emhlaba lesiyakhe budlelwane nawo ekuqeqesheni sive kuto tonke tinhlangothi. Inkosikati ithi lobudlelwane balela live nalamanye emanyuvesi kufana nemsebenzi lewendiwasilo inkosi emswati wesithathu eveni leSwatini. Lokhu buhlangani bayo ingwenyama wekulandza emanyuvesi lafana nale eMkhokhweni University kuthi ite kangwane njengoba seyiqeqeshe emaswati lamaningi le namhla aneticu letehlukehlukene. Inkosikati ithi kungalisita kuphindze futhi kulithuthukise leli uma imitapo yelwati ingathuthuka ifike kulelizinga leKhatha ngobe ingathi khanza seyisita sive sonke lokufaka ekhathi bomake nensha ukuthi batimele baqeqeshe kumakhono lahlukahlukene langabaphilisa emimangweni. Inkosikati ithi lemitapo uma ingaluthatha lonyawo loKhatha ingasita emaswati ukuthi akhanyise imikhiqito yawo kuleli nangephandle baphindze futhi bakhone kufunza ukuthengisa bakhe inzuzo. Inkosikati lamotha iphethe ngekuthi ifundzile yaphindze futhi yabona ukuthi indzawo yemtapo welwati ingayigucula impilo yesive ilethe intuthuko lengaba inzuzo eveni nakiso sive. Etindzabeni kubika Pholile Maziya.
Indvuna yetemafa Neil Reckenberg ithi ingakapheli inyanga yamabasa kulomnyaka batawube sebabhadelwe bosomabhizinisi labathengisele uhulumende impahla. Indvuna yekuvetelo kunayichaza ukuthi yini uhulumende layendako kubhadala bosomabhizinisi besolo bakhala ngekuthi uhulumende uyephuta ukubabhadala.
Indvuna ithi luhlelo lwekutfola imali etimakethe te-Johannesburg Stock Exchange lolutawulunga masinyane kanye nemali lebuya kasakho ngiko lokutawusita kwekuthi uhulumende abe nayo imali yekubhadala bosomabhizinisi labamthengiselako ingakenci inyanga yamabasa kulomnyaka. Indvuna ichubeka ithi labo labatawubhadalwa ngulabo timpepha tabo lesetifikile lapho babhadalwa khona e-Treasury.
The advantage we have, and that is the JSE listing should be taking place at the end of the month, according to the central bank, that should give relief for this. But the second relief also is much higher SARCA receipts. It's also coming in the first week of April. So we also do foresee that if any suppliers are outstanding money, and especially if it's at Treasury, because sometimes we find it stuck in a ministry for some reason, but if it's at Treasury, we do foresee by mid-April us being able to settle and really be able to catch up with any outstanding arrears.
Hlanu inhlangano yabosomabhizinisi bemdzaba embabane Federation of Eswatini Business Community Johannes manikela uthi imedamo ya uhulumende iyancomeka.
Ama-delay payments ayinkinga kakhulu business. Kanti nangabe ngisaplayile wangibhadala ngakapheli 30 days ukwenta sengikhona ekuchubekela embili. Nalona ngimkweletawo angisho noma ngiqhamuka. Ndokhala kuye ukuthi hey senginesimo lesilukhuni la.
Indvuna ithi bosomabhizinisi labanebulukhuni bekubhadala umthelo ngenxa yokuthi bakweletwa nguhulumende kufanele bakhulumisane ne-Eswatini Revenue Service baphathe nebufakazi kude bate usitakala. Etindzabeni Eswatini TV kubika Nelson Dlangamandla Nambongwa Dube Embabane.
Basabambe kuba ngolunxusele live leNdiya Brahmam Jakabutini uthi umcimbi woholi ukhuthata abantu ukuthi badle kudla lokunempilo lokuvikela tifo letitsite emtimbeni. Jakabutini uthi lo mcimbi uphindze ukhuthate kuvana emndenini nasesiveni njengoba kunetifumvo abantu labangatifundza kuwo. Abekhuluma emcimbini weholi libabanjelwe eMbabane.
Lihhovisi lalonxusele live leNdiya lapha eveni yaseSwatini lilungise umcimbi wokugubha lusuku lweholi lokulisuku lolubukeka kakhulu tindzaba tekuvana tindzaba tekubambisana netindzaba teluthando. Kanti ke kulolu suku bekade kulungiswe tinhlobonhlobo tekudla kwaseNdiya ikakhulu lokho lokudla kwemjabu lenesive semaswati sikhonile kukuva lokho kudla.
There are 2-3 legends about Holi. One is the defeat of demons and devils in the hands of gods and goddesses. And the other thing is a beautiful love story between Radha and Krishna. All Indians, all over India and abroad, they celebrate it. It is not kind of religious festival as such, It is a festival of colors in which every person in India takes part.
Losabambe kuba ngilonxusele lendiya kuleli Brahamam Chakapoti uthi ke kudla lobe kukhangiswa ngiloko lokhu kudla kwemtsabo.
The thing is, we are used to flour and dough. That is not good for health. That is what dietitians are saying now. We promote people to take food in its whole, start it from scratch, not from purchasing from outside.
Rajesh Bala walelo hhovisi uthi lo mcimbi ukuthatha imindeni kuthi ibe ndzawonye.
Holi is a celebration which celebrate every year, and it give happiness to each other. Sharing happiness, to enjoyment. It is a festival.
Budlelwane balamave lamabili buyaqhubeka nekukhula njengoba live laseNdiya liyaqhubeka nekwesekela live laseSwatini ehlangothini etfaka ekhatsi tethuthukisa emakhono nemasiko kanye ke nasetindzabeni tetemfundvo. Etindzabeni kubika Sondomlangeni nginaThemba Shabango sisembabane.
Inhlangano ye-Women Unlimited seyiqale umkhankaso wekufundisa abantu labasha ngemathuba lakhona langenisa imali ngekusebenzisa tibi. Ngokusho komxhumanisi wesive nalenhlangano Thobekile Masilela, inhloso yabo kusita insha ukuthi isebenzise umshini wokubulala emabhodlela osendzaweni yasembolonjeni. Abekhuluma emhlanganweni abantu labasha basembolonjeni eMbabane.
Ngenhloso yokwakha emathuba emisebenzi kubamfula abasha basembolonjeni eMbabane, inhlangano ye-Women Unlimited ngekusitwa inhlangano yakamhlaba yetentuthuko kanye ke neCatalyze seyisukumise ihlelo lokushiyelana lwati nebamfula abasha ngekuthi ke bangayakha kanjani imali ngakusebenzisa imabhodlela lasebendile. Thobekile Masilela longumxhumanisi wesive nalenhlangano uthi ke lolu hlelo luhlose kuniketa abamfula abasha ukuthi basebenzise sakhiwo sekubulala emabhodlela lesisembolonjeni.
They collect class booklets, clear class, colored class, and then they come and crush it to kule cyclist bakheleyona. We even provided imaginary le khona kwenda the process ibe faster so that production is faster. Bakhona ukuthi bathengise bathole imali lebonakalayo because nabayenda nasibone ukuthi nabakwenda ngesandla the process is slow. They are not able to generate more of the class lokugcina kubaniketa imali encane. So with the support ezitholile ka-UNDP, we were able to provide the machinery and now they are able to produce more class labangayithengisa. So today basically sito empowerish more youth ukuthi babe engaged in more projects la kanjena or initiative uma batiqalile nje ekhaya indlela ngathi ephilisa ngayo.
Nolwazi Mngomezulu lomunye lozuzile kuleli hlelo uthi ke lwati lalutfolile limvule emehlo ukuthi abone imathuba etibini letilahliwe letfaka ekhatsi netinsimbi.
Kwaqala nje ngizuze lwati ngazuzana lokho ukuthi timvo tinqumbi bengade ukuthi timvo letiye letifaka nemali yiningi leyitholako ba recycling because timvo recycla ko tiningi like mathayela, tinsimbi and everything like kude isidingo sokuthi ucele umumvu.
Itiko letekuvakasha nendzaba temvelo lisukumise imikhankaso lefaka ekhatsi kucoca tibi ngendlela yekuthi sive sikhone kwakha imikhicito leyahlukene kude sikhone kwakha imali. Etindzabeni kubika Sondomlangeni nginaThemba Shabango embolonjeni.
Ngenhloso yokufundisa abantwana besikolo ngekongiba kwemvelo lapha eveni, inhlangano yeSwatini Youth Biodiversity Network seyisukumise umkhankaso wokusukumisa tinhlelo tekonga imvelo etikolweni. Ngokusho komxhumanisi wesive nalenhlangano Melusi Mavuso, imisebenzile abayibukile ngile lebuke kulungisa tintfo letisebentile ukuthi tisebente futhi kanye nekuvala kuketfuka kwemhlaba. Mavuso uthi lo msebenzi utawenabela etifundzeni tonke telive.
As a network, we're piloting a project of establishing our biodiversity clubs in schools. We feel like tikolweni, it's where lasingaqala khona sisebenze with young people, siba engage from grassroots level, but bakhule by generation or by cohort le yatiko ngetindzaba te biodiversity network. So our plan ukuthi piloting 2 schools per region to promote projects lafana about recycling, because recycling then they add value to the waste they are generating in the schools. Projects lafana about permaculture, la manje sa climate smart, we call them climate smart agriculture, whereby about rooftop or plowing and stuff. So se promote events projects like akanjalo kuye ngekuya kubuka ukuthi leso sikole leyo eco club seyikhule kanganani in terms of awareness ne-maturity nje. Then we'll then tap into the other bigger projects, kufaka khathi bodonga rehabilitation, wetland rehabilitation. Cishe ama-projects la kanjalo, but sitawucala ngala lamancane labatawukhona kuwenta bangadingi ama-resources lamaningi. I-biodiversity, if it's not well taken care of, sitaba nema-impact e-climate change la very severe. Sike sabona emalangeni endlulile besinema-cyclones, and recently it was Cyclone Freddy. Lawo ma-cyclones lawo are as a result of noma ke lawo ma-impact sithi ngoba it's not only cyclones, kuba nema-heat waves and stuff. It's as a result of kukhinyabeteka kwe-biodiversity.
Ibandla le-Assemblies of God likhuthaza sive ukuthi sihlalisane kahle emakhaya kube nekuthula njengoba lokho kunemthelela ekuthuthukeni kwelive. Umfundisi Vusigule uvete lokho ngesikhathi lelibandla linetinkonzo tabomake ekwaluseni lapho achaze khona ukuthi kuhlangana ngalendlela kuyalisita libandla ukuthi likhone kwelulekana ngendlela yekuphila.
Kusho ukuthi lo hlangothi lwabomake lukhuthata kakhulu ukuthi bomake bakhona ukuhlalisana kahle nabo nebayeni babo kube nekuthula emakhaya. Bese kuthi leminikelo bakhuthata ukuthi bomaka basebenze ngetandla tabo bakhicite ngetandla tabo bese banikela kulokusalako le mali ke lenikelwako ngilesetshenziswa ukuthi simise emathende sishumayele kuze siveze emaswati sive ngaJesu kube nekuthula nekuhlalisana lokuhle kungabikho lokuthite lokungaphatamisa inhlala kahle yebantu.
Sihlalo welkomiti labomake ephilisiwe Sithebe uthi kuhlangana ngalendlela kuyabakha emoyeni.
Sifundisa abomake kuphila impilo yebunkulunkulu emakhaya. Lokukhulu kakhulu kuphila impilo yebunkulunkulu ekhaya, siphilisana nabomakoti akhona kuphilisana kahle namaketala, make akhona kuphilisana kahle nemyeni wakhe amthobele ngoba thine kakhulu sigcile kakhulu emfundisweni yeliBhayibheli lethi babe uyinhloko ekhaya make abe ngumsiti.
Leli bandla lithi litawuchubeka lishumayele livangeli lekuthula nekuhlalisana esiveni seMaswati. Etindzabeni Eswatini TV kubikana elisiwendla ngamandla kunambongwa Dube kuMathapha.
Kwezemidlalo licembu leMbabane Swallows lishaya emanzini Wanderers ngamagoli lamane ecanzeni kanti iGreen Mamba yona ibuyele itulo esicongweni se-MTN Premier League nayishaya licembu leMbabane Highlanders ngamagoli lamathathu ecanzeni. Lemidlalo idlalelwe enkundleni yetemidlalo emavuso kamanzini.
Emidlalweni ne-MTN Premier League lebeyichubeka ke langela namuhla icembu leMbabane Swallows likhwelela tehlela kumanzini Wanderers nalishaya ngamagoli lamane ecanzeni. Igoli leSwallows lecala lishaya nguFelix Berenhorst bese kashaya igoli lakhe le-17 kule season. Eliswa Dlamini lokwadlalela lona licembu leManzini Wanderers ushaya lesibili kwathi Ayanda Gadlela washaya lesithathu tingakayi ekhefini. Esigabeni sesibili Wandanhleko ushaya lesine igoli. Umdlalo waphela ngawo lamane eSwallows yaba nelicansi eManzini Wanderers. Kanti emidlalweni wesibili emkhathini welicembu leMbabane Highlanders kanye neGreen Mamba ubeke nekudida abalandzeli ngesikhathi kubonakala labasebentela lamacembu bafaka tithotsite ekhatsi nenkundla. Isangacali imidlalo. Ngisho ke soqalile umdlalo kubeke nemlandzeli longena ikhatsi enkundleni usadlala wathatha lokuthite ekhatsi epalini. Umdlalo ke wona ubone iGreen Mamba ishaya amagoli lamathathu yangakhona ukubisela eHighlanders. Amagoli eGreen Mamba achamuke ngasabelo nzinisa lovule inkundla. Xolisi Mkhonto ufakeke lesibili tingakayi ekhefini. Kwabuye yena Mkhonto esigabeni sesibili wafaka lesithathu umdlalo waphela ngawo amagoli lamathathu ecanzeni. iGreen Mamba ke seyibile esicongweni sayo MTN Premier League. Ebekele umsakazo weSwatini TV temidlalo ngiphathizwe Msibi kamanzini.
Alethe imidlalo sibeka lapho tindzaba tethu lomhla ekseni asibahlelwe emarket nasibuya sidabe sikhulumisana nemphathi waka Renak. Welcome back. Kusile na Olosanza kusivulela ehleleni Kusile Breakfast Show. It is the 13th of March 2023. Besivile ukuthi sitaphe sikhulumisana na CEO wakaRenac Qiniso Dlamini. Dokumele ukuthi imhla ka2 March lenyanga lesetulu bamemetela ukuthi the wait is finally over. Eswatini Air will go live effective 26th March 2023. Sesithi lesikhathi lesesimile solosimele ukuthi sitawuhamba nini ngendizamshini siye khona emaveni lahlukahlukene sisuka lapha ekhaya Eswatini. Sesive sinaye lapha CEO Qiniso Dlamini asichazela abantu ukuthi ngabe vele mhlambe yini lena kahle kahle lethethe isikhathi ngoba sakumele ukuthi minister bekaye asiniketa nje ama-updates ukuthi nyalo ke sesikule sigaba lesi nyalo ke sesikule sigaba lesi udachazela abantu ukuthi ingabe vele mhlambe ngomsebenzi lona lothethe isikhathi esinganani ukuthi kungani usathe lesikhathi lesi nekuba nje ukuthi ngabe vele mhlambe mamfula abaqashiwe kulona msebenzi banganani ngoba siyadla ukuthi imisebenzi enjengalena ivulela emathuba emisebenzi kakhulukazi abantu labasha sikuvusele baba Dlamini. Thank you so much for joining us today. Finally we cannot wait ukuthi sicale ukuthi sindize nathi sisuke lapha ekhaya Eswatini, but just before usingene nje kulo msebenzi lomkhulu nakangaka just to see ukuthi sive ngawe ukuthi ke pha baba Qiniso Dlamini ungubani kahle kahle just briefly nje.
Siyabonga. Kama njengalokusho nguyeqiniso Dlamini ngi esikolweni ngine Master of Business Administration. I-career yami lenengi bengi-pilot. Ngaqala kufundzela kushayela indiza ka-Israel. Ngase ngiyokwenda commercial pilot's license America nalapha eSouth Africa. Ngaphinze ngabuyela America kuyokwenda airline transport pilot's license. Ngitholeke kufundzela kushayela i-jet ngifundzele America nase Netherlands nase Stockholm. Ngina over 14,000 hours flying, and flying yami I've been in aviation for about just over 40 years. Yes, and ngaqala ke ngasebenza eMbini. I was one of the first 4 pilots emasojeni, and then ngase ngiyaqhubeka ngiyongena ku Royal Eswatini National Airways lapho ngahlala khona nakhona lomnye 10 years ngi-pilot, and then ngase ngiyangena ke ngiyawushayela ka-Airlink nakhona ngaba i-pilot yakhona. Lapho kuleto ndzawo totimbili ngagcina sengingi-chief pilot, flight operations manager, and then ka-Airlink ngagcina sengingi-general manager khona. Ngase-ke ngiyasuka ka-Airlink ngiyosebenza South African Civil Aviation Authority lapha ngaqala khona as flight operations inspector, but ngagcina sengiheda i-flight operations division yakhona. Then ngase ngiya ka-Eskom where I spent another 10 years ngi-manager tindiza tabo. Ngase ngiyabuya ke la ekhaya kuthi sitocala le kuvusa i-airline yaka Royal Eswatini National Airways.
Okay, no, without a doubt, Baba Dlamini, Renac is in great hands njengoba phethe wena. But mhlawumbe singachubeka nje singene nje kumsebenzi omkhulu. Congratulations firstly ngokuthi finally Eswatini Air will go live, and also we have been following lema processes lokuthi ni ground certification and sinothile ukuthi vele kuthatha isikhathi Baba Dlamini. Kumbe nawungasi just take us through the process lokuthi kuyangani lokuthi vele kuthatha isikhathi lesingaka.
Okay, kube nema contributors lamabili. Yokucala kube i-pandemic ye COVID-19. lapha kube nema lockdown khona kwavalwa netimakethe kwenda nokuthi abantu labanye basebenzele nasemakhaya kwadelay ke ama process lomunye kufanele ukuthi kube khona la kwenda kokhanze ukuthi akasekho so isolation and so on. That was i-contribution yokuqala le. I-contribution yesibili ke kube ukuthi le process lena ye 5-phase process yaka International Civil Aviation Organization besiqala lapha kaNgwane kuyenda. Sake saba nayo airline before, but ke ngesikhathi senabo Royal Swazi National Airways even noma kuqala na Airlink beyisengekho le process ye 5-phase process ye certification iqale ngabo 2008. Nami njena ngikhanzena ngiqala kusebenza Civil Aviation Authority yase South Africa nga 2008 nayiqala. So lapha kithi beyiqala and kube mcoka lokho ukuthi siyende kahle ngoba nani ngayendi kahle ngathi niqala nje nisithola le certificate nabafika laba baka ikhayo bathi naba auditor baphinze banemuke le certificate. So kuthi ngeke ukuthi siyende kahle saphinze salanza ebantu lababuya ngaphandle ukuthi batosibambisa kubonakala ukuthi lento iyamukeleka le certificate siyamukeleka umhlaba wonke. Awu ke bafike nabo bonke ngisho nabaka ikhayo bafike babona base bafakaza ukuthi cha certificate sethu sambe kahle nako lokusibambelela.
No, okay. Then mhlawumbe kuva nje babedlamini ukuthi ngabe lokhu kusho ukuthini nje for the Airlink and also the country at large ukuthi yes finally onke ama processes have been approved.
Okay. Kokuqala nje kusho ukuthi lisilive la kaNgwane sine airline le fully certified le recognizedwa umhlaba wonke and sesi ready ke manje ukuthi singalauncha ema operations ethu. And ke simisele nje ukuthi kusukela mhla ka 26 ku March sitawuqala iflight asukuthatha lithamo lelikhulu kakhulu. Sithathe kancane singaze sihishwe sibanjwe. Siteke sitawuqala ngeJohannesburg sitawenda 2 rotations phela kusuka ka 26 March ekuseni nantsambama. Bese kuthi ke mhla ka 14 April sesingeda iHarare. iHarare kitawenda 4 flights a week. Taba Monday, Wednesday, Friday and Sunday. Bese ke kuba na phase 3 lapha ke sitabe sesieda khona iDurban yena kuqala mhla ka 5 May. Taba 1 flight per day every day of the week. Sitabo hamba ntsambama ilale eThekwini ibuye ekuseni. And then ke phase 4 sitabe sesieda iCape Town yona kuqala mhla ka 2 June. Yona ke itaba na 3 days a week, Wednesday, Friday and Sunday. Okay. And then ke sitawu launcha ke ngema specials kuzokuthi imarket ikwati kungena nebantu bajwayele kundiza and sesilungele ke vele nokuthi silethe iservice eMaswati.
Okay. Ngiyathi nje lokuthi babedlamini vele bamfu bese bame kakhulu bamele lokuthi vele ku releasewe ama operation schedules. Ngoba vele sebakhona yini la sebathengile amatikiti kuboka ukuthi 26 March is around the corner.
Yeah. Cha sebakhona labathengile amatikiti and ke sibhekile vele ukuthi si deliver nabo bajabule. Mhlazana baqala kundiza labanye abakaqala inclock 26 March sebathenge namatikiti etindiza letawu qhubeka thambe emalangeni la nalandzelako.
Okay, tindzaba timnanzi leto. So I think kubuta nje lokunye nje babedlamini ukuthi what are the main reasons ukuthi vele the country should have a national airline ukuthi what are the benefits that come with it?
Okay, nase une national airline live liba accessible. Ma tourist ayakhona kuda neMaswati nebantu abalapha bayakhona kuya kulamanye emafi. Futhi ke na ku airline yethu siyakwati lokho ukuthi kutawukhetha thine lokho ukuthi na indlela lengcono yeMaswati ekuhamba na indlela lengcono yema tourist kungena even sawukhumbula nje ngesikhathi se-COVID kuthi kwathiwa nasekuvaliwe eJozi wakhanza ukuthi nathi sesivalelekile sesigoqedandla kanti sekhona letinye indlela tekuphuma ngakubo Harare tiphume ngakuphi nabo Mozambique and so on. So nyalo nasesine airline kutawuba ngisi lesikhethako lokuthi sisaqhubeka siyasebenza njengalokhu lamanye emave enda njalo aqhubeka asebenza nyalo ungaphuma ubheke ngaseJozi ungaphuma eThekwini ungaphuma uye eCape Town ungaphuma futhi uye eHarare kuwo onke lama destinations ethu kunema connecting flights la qhamuka globally from all over the world la tawufika khona. So kusho ukuthi ke itourism yethu itawukhuphuka and ke ma tourist mase afikile abese akhipha imali ayaspenda la and ke nebantu kudaleka nemisebenzi kanjalo ngoba emahotela kuyabayabhadala bayathenga nasetitolo bayathenga nema-souvenirs kanjalo.
Okay, so sisakhuluma nje ama-flights nje Baba Dlamini, how do we purchase ama-ticket abo? Lasumke ukuthi there's an online platform phindze futhi bangahamba bayawathenga physically mhlambe etinzwane tehlukahlukene siwathenga kanjani ama-ticket vele?
Okay, kwanyalo sivule nje ukuthi ungashaya inombolo lethi 25180100 noma ke uthumele email ku reservations@eswatini.co.za reservations@eswatini.co.za noma uye office lethu lelaphayana ke ejunction Manzini junction naku nje la ngase Estel House lapha kunema robot khona se Estel House kune mall lentsha lapho ine F&B ema office ethu lapho ungaya khona ufike uthenge noma uye travel agent yakho itawukhona i-travel agent yakho ledudane ukuthi ikuthengisele leticket online platform yethu siyayisebenta itawube ivulekile siyacabanga lingapheli leviki nje itabe seyisebenta online lapho utawukhona ukuthi uthenge leticket lakho online khona.
Kuchubeka nje nokubuta nje Baba Dlamini lokho ukuthi kuvamile lokuthi especially in the region SADC region ukuthi ama-airline companies lamaningi ukhanze ukuthi mhlambe awayakhi kahle inzunzo noma imali kahle and most of them ukhanze ukuthi sebathinga i-bailout from uhulumende babo. Ingabe thina lokho sidingiselele kanganani Eswatini mangastikhanze ukuthi sesikule nkinga leyo?
Sisebentile before hulumende asisupport ukuthi sivuse airline kwathingeka ukuthi sende i-market potential analysis sibone lokho ukuthi bakhona labantu labedakangwane laba ngabe sebayagibela indiza nangabe kusho ukuthi iyafakwa indiza sase senda ke i-business plan ne-strategy sabuka nalokho sebantu labaningi baqhamuka kuphi tindlela and futhi nabahamba basuke bahamba baya kuphi ama-statistics la njalo siwatholile ka tourism sawathola ka immigration asisitile kwathi ukuthi bobanda balabangena baphuma la kangwane and bangaki and sithe nje asisho ukuthi bonke batabe sibayandisa kepha na ke sibonile lokho ukuthi nabe kundiza nje lidlazana labo bantu labo i-airline itawuchubeka isebende futhi ke sitawuchubeka si-review le strategy sethu studishe ukuthi kwenta njani ne-flow yebantu ukuthi bahamba kanjani ngekuhamba kwesikhathi sibe si-adjust ngoba ngikoke lokutawukwenda lokunye ke sitawumanager ema-costs ethu ngoba ama-airlines lamanye abulawa ngilokho ukuthi bese angamanage ama-costs kulibalwe njena kube kuvulelwe njena imali ikhanze ukuthi ayisetshenziswa kahle sitakunaka konke lokho ukuthi ama-costs ethu siwa-contain kahle ke siyacabanga lokho ukuthi lokho kutawukwenda ukuthi indiza yethu isebende siyajabula ukuthi uhulumende uyasupporta uya-understanda naye ukuthi ngeke nje afike nje bese ukuthi hayi nyalo sale ndiza niya e-DRC nyalo sale ndiza niya singaqali sadadisha kuqala usithembisile uhulumende ukuthi utasibambisa ukuthi kube ngisilela lesitawubuka ukuthi ema-routes la ngiwo lentawenda imali nginanga lokho kwenda ukuthi ama-airline achubekele empilo.
Alright. So I think maswangena nje babegcine ukhulume ngendzaba ukhulume nge-Royal Swazi Airways le wavete ukuthi yayekela kusebenza in the 90s. Ingavele mhlambe kungena nje kulama contributing factors that led to its ceasing operations. Ingabe vele mhlambe what are the lessons learned lesingasho ukuthi mhlambe indle niyifundzile as Renac lenifisa ukuthi ingendeke ukuthi sithi khanse seyigcina nayo Eswatini seyikhanse seyivaliwe.
Okay. I-Royal Swazi nayicala yayinalenye i-mandate. Ngoba siyakhumbula ukuthi i-Royal Swazi icala nga-1978. That was after uprising students e-South Africa nga-1976 June 16. Students ke abe asagcwala lapha nalabanye labe bahamba nawo. But nabalapha ke kwase kufuneka ukuthi kube nendlela yekubahambisa ngoba kwakufanele ukuthi bahambe bayofunza etikolweni letinye leti overseas lapha bebathola khona ama scholarships kule kuwing yaka UN yema refugees. So hulumende ke wase uthenga indiza lijubanzenzele lokho kuthi kuhambe kuhambisa labantu baye etindzaweni letehlukene ima routes ethu nje ngaleso sikhathi yayisuka lapha indiza ilandze laba fohlele eLesotho iphindze ihambe iye eMozambique ithathe laba fohlele eMozambique ibabuyisela ekhaya ithathe nalaba la ekhaya iba mixe kubo Dar es Salaam boLusaka and so on bese baqhubeka ke nebaphathi babo babamikisa etikolweni. And then ke kwabe lapho ke sekucreate market ngoba kwakunama sanctions eSouth Africa ngaleso sikhathi bebasuka ke abantu bakubo Zambia bede badokwenza shopping la kithi ngaleso sikhathi neMozambique kwakusaliwa ngaleso sikhathi bebasuka eMozambique bandize nabo bedela ekhaya kutokwendiwa ishopping bo metro nje ngaleso sikhathi bebenda inqumbi yemali baphindze bagibele babuyele emuva. Kuthi teke nga-1991 nase kucala kuba ma changes eSouth Africa kurelease bo Nelson Mandela aseyavulela iSouth Africa seyaqala ke ma airlines ayaya eSouth Africa neSouth African Airways yaqala iyandiza iya engenele emavasi eAfrica. Saphuta ngaleso sikhathi kureview strategy sethu. Saphuta ngaleso sikhathi review angikonjela ukuvile ngithi mina nyalo we will be continuously reviewing our strategy. Saphuta kuleso sikhathi review strategy sethu kwaze kwathingeka ukuthi saze sa react ngabo 1996 lapho senda i-restructuring khona. But ke by 1999 i-trajectory yaseyiqalile yaseyikhomisa uma sasezireview route network yethu sesi-restructure ishile. Kwase yaseyiba attractive ke ngoba hulumende abesa decide ukuthi singene ku joint venture operation yaseyangena ke i-Royal Swazi joint venture operation kepha ke ngaleso sikhathi I think kwase kung 50-50 sasingachubeka sale siranisha airline yethu ngaleso sikhathi but ke ngoba futhi sase silungisile leyo mistake lokho ke lesakufunza ukuthi continuously review your strategy ubuke ukuthi market ethini ushintshe ulalele imarket ukuze ukuthi utochubeka ube viable njenge airline.
Great. So in one of your responses, Baba Dlamini, you did mention ukuthi imfolo enkulu nje letana eSwatini ngindzaba ye-job creation. Ikakhulu kade nje abantu abasha ngoba siyathi ukuthi i-unemployment rate lapha eSwatini abantu abasha isetulu. Ingabe yini lemisebenzile naleta nayo eSwatini nekuthi ingabe bangayi access kanjani abantu abasha?
Okay. Njengalokho ngishilo ukuthi ke ngala ka tourism kutaba nemsebenzi letawudaleka ku hospitality industry. And then sitawuthenga nekudla lokufanele ukuthi kuyothengiswa etindizeni. Lokuyodliwa etindizeni. Nema supplies lamanye endizabo bo fuel laba tasithengisela bo fuel nalamanye ma supplies. Then ke kutaba nyalo nje busy si trainer ema pilots ngoba kufuneka agcine angemaswati ema pilots latawushayela lendiza bonjiniyela labatawukhenikhala endiza bebatrainiwe nge-Royal Swazi but asaphela sebaphela labaningi sebaretire. Kutaba nabonjiniyela, kutaba nema-air hostess, kutaba nalaba la ema-office support staff laba ngibona basupporta le-airline. So itawudaleka lapho imisebenzi lemnengi yaka-aviation.
Semaphethelweni nje babedlamini kubuta nje ukuthi ingabe le airline itaba nayo yini i-loyalty management program.
Yes, sitaba nayo i-loyalty management program sitayibita ngema-Eagle Miles. And then ke itawuba na first tier yakho entry level silver, kube ne gold, kube ne platinum, kube ne black diamond. And ku free kujoyina as a member yalama loyalty miles, and esiwathola lama mayela taw calculator ugcine sokuthola ama bonuses ukuthi ungathenga lethikiti lekuvakasha nefamily yakho noma nabe uyagibela ulayishe kwama letinenge ubhadare ngayo lama mayela akho i-excess baggage.
That's great. So kokugcina nje ngithi contact details ukuthi ingabe mhlambe labanemibuto nje labafuna ukuvaka abantu ngayo i-online purchasing yemathikiti benta kanjani nemlight wokugcina nje babedlamini ukusikhuthaza ukuthi vele sibhadale sihambe siyovakashela lamanye seyikhokhele imali ungathini nje?
Yes, ngathi lama prices ethu affordable kakhulu. Singu Eswatini silethe iservice asigedi kuto bambe maswati ngabhongane ukuthi sifuna iprofit kangako. We have to be sustainable. Sitayiranisha le airline ngendlela le sustainable ukuthi singafuni kuncika kuhulumende. But ke lesikudzinga ukuthi emaswati asisupport hulumende usakhele highway sekulula kufika eKM3. Kuya eKM3 uyogibela indiza nawusuka kamanzini nje kududane kunekusuka eSoweto yejo uye eOrtambo noma nawusuka eMamelodi uya eOrtambo sesekududane. So kusho ukuthi i-airport yethu le perception yokuthi khashane akusesinjalo. So emaswati akahambe ayothenga inombolo sesishilo 25180100 noma reservations at eswatini.co.za noma uye ku travel agency yakho ledudane neyakithi Eswatini travel agency ikhona lapha yana emanzini junction ngase opposite Estelle House.
Alright.
Yes.
Yevakala, thank you so much sibongakhulu babedlamini kodwa sichazela kabantu nje ngemsebenzini indako ningu Renaka. Sibahlethe market estabeni traffic update.
Do you remember the spinning thing? This is us. This picture represents what we did. We were there when coronavirus wreaked havoc in our population. Together with other stakeholders, we formed the first line, controlling the spread of the unknown and unseen enemy of the people. Anxious ourselves, we collected dead bodies countrywide. At the time when no one wanted to come near dead bodies of loved ones, we did care for our fellow citizens. Thank you, the people of Eswatini and teams of first responders.
Pay your TV license quickly and easily with MTN Momo. Simply dial *007 *3 hash and select option 8 for TV license. Enter your national ID number as your reference and the amount you wish to pay. Then enter your PIN to confirm your payment. Once your payment has been made, you'll receive a confirmation SMS of your payment. If you're a first-time payer, you get another SMS for your TV license. So legalize your entertainment from the comfort of your home. Pay your TV license the easy and convenient way with MTN Momo.
Everywhere you go, MTN.
Welcome back. Lesikhathi sitawubuka simo semgwaqo na Sergeant Gula sivusele makabani lomhla ekseni ngabeka mbeka kanjani emgwaqweni.
Ngikuvusele eMagagula, ngivusele naye umbukeliwe Kusile breakfast show. Imigwaqo elivela kaNgwane singumbutho wembube nesive sesihlolile imigwaqo leminengi iyahambeka eveni la kaNgwane. Kepha ke tikhona tikhinyabeto letikhona lapha nalapha. Lesingathanza ukuthi loyo losebenzisa umgwaqo atinake kuze ukuthi aphephe afike kahle lapho ayakhona. Emadolobha eliveke ahloliwe idolobha lelikhulu laseMbabane tibane temgwaqo tiyasebenta tonke ngalokufanele ngaphandle nje kwedolobha kwetibane temgwaqo letilapha eMangwaneni na uphuma khona edolobheni ubheka khona kaManzini. Isikhathi edolobheni eMbabane sitaladi lesini somhlolo road lesiqhamuka khona kosport singene khona ekhasi edolobheni. Leso sitaladi leso kuneti-70 temgwaqo letisebentako lapho. Indzawo letinengi khona lapho umgwaqo uvaliwe lokwenta ukuthi lo losebenzisa lo mgwaqo abe nebulukhuni kulesinye isikhathi lesingakhuthaza nje kubo labaqhamuka khona kubo Oshuk na khona kubo Sibashini nangabe bangena khona ekhasi edolobheni eMbabane bangahamba bayongena khona eMangwaneni kuze ukuthi bakhone ukuthi bafike kahle edolobheni ngesikhathi bangabambeleleki. Lesinye ke sitaladi uMakhosini road lesolo naso leso solo sivaliwe khona edolobheni eMbabane. Umgwaqo lomkhulu osuka khona ehekeni laseNgwenya ubheke khona kaManzini uyahambeka lokufaka ekhasi naye eMalagwane kude sikhenyabeto lesikhona khona lapho. kaManzini khona sihloliwe tibane temgwaqo letilapha eWest Center na Dorothy lapha eceleni kwakhona eTrade Fair lenzala nakhona eCentral eceleni kwase Central leto tibane leto atisebenzi nyalo ekuseni kanti ke nawuqhamuka khona emavuso ubheka khona eCentral uhamba njengalo mgwaqo loyo unciphisiwe kwathi sephela ukuthi lapha kuleti bane temgwaqo uyalungiswa wona umgwaqo khona lapho sesekhona khona kaManzini umgwaqo lo suka khona eRemand ungena khona edolobheni unciphisi uvaliwe umvila loqhamuka ngakhona eRemand ungena khona edolobheni sithi nje laba sebenzisa lo mgwaqo abaniketa netigaba ekuhamba khona lapho naye masale sikhundleni khona kaManzini sitaladi lesuka khona lapha eEstel House siye lapha endas eAutoZone naso leso sitaladi leso sivaliwe na usuka khona kaManzini ubheka khona emafutheni usuka lapha eMphanze noma ke ukusuka lapha kuhelehele uyawufika khona lapha eMphanze isebenzisa emgwaqo lapho iyasebenza kudweshwa wona emalayini kuhamba nje kuneti imphawu leti kuphocelelako ukuthi ungahambi kulolunye ihlangothi uhambe kulolunye ngale kwaloko thombeni naye umbukeli imigwaqo elivela kaNgwane iyahambeka ngaphandle nje kwalesi sengisishido tinyabeto ngaba kusela yena umbukeli usuku loluhle naloluphephile basetawusebenzisa yona imigwaqo elivela kaNgwane.
Lo Constable Ndamendle kusiniketa lo yombi wasibahlola emakethe sitabene netindzaba tetfu ngaphandle. Welcome back. Lesikhathi sidabuka ngephandle kwakuleli. A train rammed into a public bus in Nigeria's commercial hub of Lagos on Thursday, killing 6 people and injuring dozens of others as the bus driver tried to beat the train signal, emergency services and the state governor said.
The accident has been blamed on the bus driver's reckless driving. On Thursday, bystanders looked on as a crane attempted to lift the bus off the train tracks after a deadly collision in Nigeria's biggest city, Lagos.
The BRT tried to run past through the level crossing at PWD, So, but unfortunately, the train caught up with it, and he had to drag it down to this particular portion.
Authorities in Lagos confirmed this version of events. They said the driver had tried to beat a signal warning about an oncoming train, a decision that came with fatal consequences.
When I entered inside the bus, so I saw people inside, there is wound, serious wound. There is blood everywhere. So from there, I started to rescue people inside the bus out. One person, when I see inside the corridor, is totally dead.
2 people died on the spot. Several others later died in hospital. The wounded were treated outside this hospital in the city. Lagos is one of the biggest cities on the African continent. It's known for its bustling streets and traffic jams. Each year, thousands of people are killed on the road across the country.
Another powerful storm pummeled California overnight into Saturday, resulting in at least 2 deaths and causing a levee to give way in coastal Monterey County.
Raging waters and extremely dangerous winds. This Californian knows he should not stay long on this bridge, which could collapse at any time. Since Friday, the floods have washed away several roads. Several communities are also cut off from the rest of the state. Residents of SoCal, south of San Francisco, can no longer leave. California has been battered by heavy rains for several days, which are predicted to continue in the coming week. State officials are urging residents to take every precaution.
Never drive through barricades or road closures. Never drive through water that you don't understand what the depth of that water is. As we've talked before, 12 inches of water can float an automobile.
In Fenton, residents had to be evacuated exactly 2 months after another flooding in January.
Now we have to go home, pack our stuff, and leave once again when we were just able to come back a couple weeks ago.
According to the governor's office, some 17,000 households in Monterey County found themselves without power on Saturday. For some, these floods are the final straw.
The sad thing is I could probably tell you 5 or 6 people that are, as soon as they can rebuild, they'll be selling their homes because we can't live like this. How do you live like this?
This week's storm marked the state's 10th atmospheric river of the winter. Storms that have brought enormous amounts of rain and snow to the state and helped lessen the drought conditions that had dragged on for 3 years.
Leaders in the U.S. and France have reacted with cautious optimism to the surprise announcement that Iran and Saudi Arabia agreed on Friday to restore ties and reopen diplomatic missions in a deal brokered by China.
Reconciliation between old enemies.
A declaration signed by our kingdom, Iran and China.
This announcement on national television in Saudi Arabia followed the release of a joint statement with Iran that the 2 Middle Eastern countries, brought together around the table in China, had re-established diplomatic relations.
We agreed to open a new chapter between the Islamic Republic of Iran and Saudi Arabia after having no ties for 7 years, while observing the interests of both countries.
This video released by Iranian state media shows Iranian and Saudi officials alongside China's most senior diplomats. Sunni Saudi Arabia cut ties with predominantly Shia Iran in 2016 after an attack on its embassy in Tehran, carried out by Iranian protesters after the Saudi execution of a Shia cleric. Re-establishing ties could have wide implications across the Middle East, particularly in Yemen, where the 2 rival Gulf powers are locked in a proxy war, as well as in Iraq and in Lebanon. Riyadh and Tehran will reopen their embassies and will also restart economic and security deals signed in 1998 and 2001. The White House welcomed the rapprochement, saying it supports any interest to de-escalate tensions in the region. Brokers Beijing, meanwhile, praised the wisdom of the 2 countries.
Li Qiang, one of Chinese President Xi Jinping's most trusted allies, was confirmed as premier on Saturday as Xi cements his influence on the country's top leadership.
After President Xi Jinping's re-election on Friday, there was no doubt over the name of his new prime minister.
63-year-old Li Cheng received almost all votes by delegates at the National People's Congress.
I pledge to be allegiant to the Constitution of the People's Republic of China, safeguard the Constitution's authority, fulfill my legal obligations, be loyal to the country and the people.
Li is the former Communist Party chief of Shanghai, China's largest city, and his reputation took a hit while overseeing the harrowing COVID lockdown last year. But he's one of Xi's most trusted allies.
He is regarded as someone who has absolutely risen to the top because he has this very strong relationship with Xi Jinping personally. So no doubts about that. But having said that, he's someone who is regarded as being business friendly.
His nomination comes as part of a general move by Xi to appoint a slate of loyalists in key positions to further consolidate his power, after being reaffirmed as the head of the Communist Party in October. Outgoing Prime Minister Li Keqiang was widely perceived to have been increasingly sidelined as Xi tightened his grip on decision-making. His successor, whose role it will be to manage China's economy, now faces the daunting task of leading the country's post-lockdown recovery amid rising tensions over trade and technology with the West.
France's Senate voted late Saturday to approve a reform to the country's pension systems hours after demonstrators took to the streets to protest the changes.
The end game is near for France's controversial pension reform. At midnight on Saturday, the French Senate approved the bill 195 votes to 112. The vote comes after a seventh day of nationwide protests across the country. Despite a feeling of looming loss, thousands took to the streets determined to get their point across.
The government only thinks of money, so only strikes will work.
According to a poll from French media outlets, around 63% of French people approve the protests against the reform, and around 54% of the people support industrial action, including strikes to denounce the unpopular plan. But some believe the government will do whatever it takes to pass the bill, even if it means using Article 49.3, which gives the executive the right to pass a law without parliamentary approval.
I think they'll force the bill. The writing's on the wall.
Saturday saw a clear drop in the number of demonstrators across the country since the social movement began. Police claims there were around 300,000 people in the protests across the country, while unions claim over 1 million were present. Despite the decreased attendance, the unions are renewing calls for prolonged industrial action and protests following President Macron's refusal to meet with them.
It's a real middle finger. If he's so sure of himself, why not ask the people's opinion by consulting the people?
Just the fact that he's refused to see us or listen to us is a form of denial of democracy.
Meanwhile, violent clashes erupted in the French capital, with authorities arresting some 30 people. The next nationwide protests and strikes are planned for Wednesday, as a commission is set to work on a final version of the draft law, which will be submitted on Thursday for parliamentary vote.
U.S. President Joe Biden and European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen on Friday sought to minimize differences over Washington plans to subsidize American companies, a concept that has frustrated many in Europe.
Under the Inflation Reduction Act, the Biden administration plans to provide American companies with $369 billion in green subsidies and tax credits aimed at cutting carbon emissions in half by 2030, which the EU views as discriminatory. But in their White House meeting Friday, President Joe Biden and European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen minimized their differences. Biden said the IRA is driving investments to create clean energy industries.
And the idea, that idea underpins our Inflation Reduction Act, and it lies at the heart of your Green Deal industrial plan, the EU.
Von der Leyen echoed the sentiment, noting Europe's own plan to achieve climate neutrality.
I think it's great that there is such a massive investment in green and clean technologies now. Indeed, we want to match it with the Green Deal industrial plan.
She confirmed negotiations will begin to allow the EU to be exempted from an IRA clause that requires a certain percentage of minerals used in manufacturing batteries to be produced in the US or come from a free trade partner.
We agreed that we will work on critical raw materials
that have been sourced or processed in the European Union and to give them the access to the American market as if they were sourced in the American market.
Amid the war in Ukraine, Europe is racing to end its reliance on Russia for fossil fuels by ramping up its domestic renewable energy production. To do so, it would need more access to critical minerals such as lithium, cobalt, and rare earth metals, the majority of which are processed by China.
About saying you can't be cutting off the dependency that you have with Russia and try to repeat it with China on these very important mineral resources. So you've got to figure out a way to cut into that dependency, and they can do that together if they jointly recognize what they're doing together and don't have to be stymied by domestic hurdles. And I think that's in a nutshell what they're trying to do.
Von der Leyen did not join the Biden administration in warning China not to arm Moscow in its war effort, saying it's a bilateral matter of the respective countries. Patsy Kuswara, VOA News at the White House.
The Russian paramilitary organization will open recruitment centers in 42 cities in Russia, it announced on Saturday.
On the ground north of Bakhmut, Ukrainian forces continue to resist the Russian offensive. Close to enemy lines, these artillery units try to inflict as much damage as possible on the troops facing them.
Our target is the infantry. Sometimes there are light armored vehicles or tanks, but infantry is the main target.
The Russian troops surrounding Bakhmut have, according to some analysts, suffered 5 times as many losses as the Ukrainian military. One of the Battle for Bakhmut's chief figures is Yevgeny Prigozhin, head of the Russian mercenary militia Wagner. He has admitted the group has taken heavy losses. Ukrainian and US intelligence say Wagner has had 30,000 men killed, captured or wounded. Prigozhin announced on Friday that Wagner would be opening recruitment centers in 42 Russian cities.
Despite the colossal resistance of the armed forces of Ukraine, we will move forward. Despite the sticks being put in our wheels at every step, we will overcome this together.
The fall of Bakhmut, which Russian troops have said was close on numerous occasions, continues to be delayed. These satellite photos show the scale of the fighting, where every metre of terrain is won at a massive human cost. The city, once home to 70,000 people, now stands almost entirely in ruins.
The BBC was forced to scrap much of its weekend sports programming as presenters walked out in support of football host Gary Lineker, who was suspended for sending a tweet criticizing the British government's new asylum policy.
It's a row which its critics say sheds light on bias at Britain's national broadcaster. The BBC received backlash from the public after it suspended sports anchor Gary Lineker from his football programme Match of the Day following the host's tweet which criticised the government's plan to stop illegal immigration.
There is no huge influx. We take far fewer refugees than other major European countries. This is just an immeasurably cruel policy directed at the most vulnerable people in language that is not dissimilar to that used by Germany in the 30s. And I'm out of order?
BBC director Tim Davie defended the decision, claiming Lineker had breached the organisation's impartiality rules.
It's this balance between free speech and impartiality. And I honestly do not believe, despite a lot of the commentary, that this is about left or right. It's about our ability. We're fierce champions of democratic debate, free speech, but with that comes the need to create an impartial organisation.
Presenters and other journalists refused to work in solidarity with Gary Lineker, forcing the BBC to cut down on its sports coverage this weekend. The public also accused the broadcaster of political bias and suppressing free speech after it took their highest paid host off air.
I think the reaction of the number of people who have said they're not going to perform on TV today, I think it shows the strength of feeling that they were completely out of order to do that.
I think, if he was even on the show, then they could have said, look, it's a football show, you shouldn't be talking about politics, but he just tweeted it himself, so what has he done wrong?
Prime Minister Rishi Sunak continues to defend his plan to prevent illegal migrants from claiming asylum in the UK. The Conservative leader urged the BBC and Gary Lineker to resolve their dispute quickly.
A global shortage of semiconductor chips in the automotive industry starting in 2020 has motivated many countries to increase their domestic manufacturing. The United States has allocated more than $50 billion to promote semiconductor production and research stateside, as the global need for the chips is expected to double over the next decade.
Here at this factory, tucked into the forest next to Malta, New York, a 3-hour drive north from New York City, is a nearly 3 million square foot space dedicated to U.S. semiconductor manufacturing.
In our modern day, everything you use has chips involved with it.
Multinational semiconductor manufacturer Global Foundries, headquartered at this location, runs this facility. Here, they produce 400,000 of these 12-inch wafers annually. Each wafer contains anywhere from 100 to 4,500 semiconductor microchips, used in everything from computers, smartphones, and automobiles to national defense.
The semiconductor chip is really the brain of the device, and it allows that device to function and provide logic.
The United States invented semiconductor microchips, but currently only accounts for about 10% of global manufacturing, with more than 75% of production occurring in East Asia.
If we cannot import the semiconductors, the automakers are impacted. The smartphone devices are impacted, right? The ramifications are so huge.
Growing U.S.-China tensions and Beijing's threats to occupy Taiwan, a major global chip producer, can put the U.S. semiconductor imports at risk. The United States got a taste of the microchip shortage as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic, with the auto industry being hit the hardest.
The automakers needed to find out really quickly, where are we getting these chips and why don't we have enough of them? Right? And that was sort of the classic example of, oh my gosh, we have a shortage.
Experts believe the shortage is easing, but still affecting car makers.
Having both the manufacturing facilities and then these think tanks, the knowledge centers, both within the U.S. border, I think it's really, really important for the U.S.
On August 9th, 2022, President Joe Biden signed the CHIPS and Science Act into law, providing $52 billion to promote domestic semiconductor manufacturing and research and development, along with tax credits.
The Biden administration called for a meeting. Secretary Raimondo was heavily involved at the White House, where CEOs of car makers, CEO of companies like Global Foundries came together.
The meeting helped plant the seed to ink a decade long-term deal, making Global Foundries the main semiconductor chip producer for General Motors, announced in February of 2023.
As far as the GM agreement, I'd say first and foremost, that's about national security and bringing the technology onshore. And we're going to be working over the next few years to make sure that technology works and that capacity comes online for them to avert the next crisis.
Since the shortage, many American-based companies announced hundreds of billions in investment to semiconductor production stateside. Global Foundries plans to increase production at its New York facility and build a new $1 billion space on site, doubling its capacity. Keith Kosinski for VOA News, New York.
As the world waits for NASA to announce the first cruise in its mission to the moon, we talked with several astronauts hoping to make the cut as the space agency promotes diversity in its ranks.
NASA knows how it will get astronauts back to the moon. What the agency doesn't know yet is who it will send. Among the contenders is astronaut Stan Love.
So everybody in the astronaut office has the background, the basic training, and the qualifications to go do that mission. And so everybody's hoping that their name will get called.
The first missions to the moon could launch as early as 2024. Love says the crews will look different than those of the Apollo program during the 1960s and 70s.
We are going to broaden our demographics, so it won't be just white guys on the moon.
Victor Glover could make history as the first person of color to reach the moon.
We make our boss's job actually challenging. We make his job hard because he's got to pick some of us. And I think all of us are ready, trained, and capable of making this mission a success.
The initiative to ensure diversity in NASA's Artemis program was outlined in the Biden administration's $25 billion funding request to Congress for NASA for fiscal year 2022, which includes the moon missions.
Apollo had a twin sister,
Artemis, and this is our generation. And so I think it's a fantastic thing.
Branielle Rodriguez works on the Orion capsule that will transport the astronauts. She is proud to participate in an historic project that will also bring the first woman to the moon.
I think it's important for all of us, right? Whether it is a man or a woman, I think it's fantastic. I think as an agency, as the nation, and even as the world, being able to show that we can explore as humans back to the surface of the moon is really what we need to go off and show, and really be able to then set our presence to go beyond.
To do this once would feel like you're performing.
Danielle Bell teaches marketing and communications at Northwestern University. She focuses on issues of diversity and inclusion and welcomes NASA's initiative, which she hopes is permanent.
When they're transformative and not performative, that happens when the organization lives their values.
Women make up 1/3 of the current group of 41 astronauts at NASA. 12 are people of color. While 16 are experienced pilots, the rest are experts in fields such as geology, medicine, and engineering, bringing professional diversity to the Corps. Bell says that makeup suggests that skin color or gender won't likely drive the decision on who goes first.
What I can appreciate about this mission is that it's not just about diversity. It's not just about representation. You've got an entire pool that is of diverse backgrounds.
People keep asking me, is it meaningful to you that little black kids look up to you and say they want to be like you? I represent America, and little white kids, little Mexican kids, little Hispanic kids, little Iranian kids follow what we're doing, because this is maybe one of the most recognizable symbols in the universe.
NASA is expected to announce the crew for Artemis 2, a mission that will orbit but not land on the moon, on April 3rd. Kane Fairbaugh, VOA News, Kennedy Space Center, Florida.
Some of the Zimbabwean farmers whose land the government seized for redistribution 2 decades ago moved to Zambia and have prospered. In the past year, those farmers started exporting food to Zimbabwe, which has been struggling with food insecurity, partly because of those land seizures.
Graham Ray, once a major cotton farmer in Zimbabwe, is now plying his trade in the Chisamba district of Zambia. Here too, he has made a mark, becoming the first exporter of blueberries from Zambia to China. He lost his 1,000-hectare farm in Zimbabwe to an army general and is planning to buy a 15,000-hectare farm in Zambia, but is not proud about his success in his new country.
Obviously, it doesn't make me feel good because I know the potential of Zimbabwe. If it was a net exporter, it can return to be a net exporter. All it needs is a correct policies, and you'll be a net exporter. It's as simple as that. Let the private sector run agriculture.
In 2000, the government of then Zimbabwean President Robert Mugabe seized land from white farmers, saying it was reversing colonial imbalances, which left black farmers with only infertile land. That led to Ray's move to Zambia. Officials in Zimbabwe did not respond to a request for an interview. Zambia National Farmers Union spokesman Kakoma Calvin Kalei says about 300 displaced Zimbabwean farmers applied to settle here in the early 2000s. He sums up their work in Zambia.
Let's look at what they have managed to contribute in terms of production. Wheat production jumping from 60,000 metric tons per year in 2009 to somewhere averaging between 300 to 420,000 metric tons per year. If you look at the contribution of the Zim farmers, massive contribution.
Kalei added that Zambia now exports onions, tomatoes, potatoes, and maize. Ironically, Zimbabwe, once the breadbasket of the region, imported maize from Zambia last year. Kelvin Ambwezia, chairman of Zambia's Food Reserve Agency, says his country wants to earn more foreign currency from the agriculture sector in which the former Zimbabwean farmers are involved.
I know farmers that are doing high-value crops for export. The impact is enormous. You can't dwarf the impact that they've made or the contribution they've made to to our agricultural sector. So we have benefited a lot, and we hope that they don't go back.
But Ray has other ideas.
We Zimbabweans, and we would love to go back, but we've got no choice. We have to stay here, and we want to stay here because, like I said, the Zambian government's been good to us.
And Zambia is benefiting from the relationship. Columbus Mafungam for VOA News, Chisamba, Zambia.
28 minutes after 7, sibukela lapho ngaphandle kwakuleli leseke break nasibuya sidabe sikhulumisana na Pico.
Lesi sikhathi lapho khona emaphoyisa agubha kuba khona kwawo even. Kulapho kukhuthathwa khona sive ukuthi sike sihlale phansi sibuke bumcoka bemaphoyisa empilweni yabantu. Siphindze sibuke tindlela letinsha tekuphepha kubo bonke bucala lobuveta sihloko. Sive sakangwane siyakhunjutwa ukuthi singawafaki emaphoyisa etinkulumeni tepolitiki ngoba liphoyisa alingeni futhi alingenelani nepolitiki. Emaphoyisa alwa nebucala netingoti temgwaco kuphela nje. Ingako emaphoyisa athi wonke umuntu eveni akahlale ngaphandle kwekunceneka ukuthi angahle ahlaselwe tilwane tasendle. Umuntu lohlala Eswatini akatiphilele atisebentele ngaphandle kwekwesaba kuhlaselwa kwemucwa nekucekelwa phansi kwempahla yakhe. Nawe wena lophathekile emaphoyisa athi digulele kahle uze uphile ngaphandle kwekuphatamiseka. Lokungenteka ngekuthi tidlova tingene tihlasele labo labakunakekelako kuleyo ndlu. Sive lesihlakaniphile nguleso lesiphakamisa kusebenta kwemaphoyisa nabo bonke labalwa nebucala. Ngale kwaloko timbungushe tiyawuwangenela emazinyane kungenamuntu ekhaya. Lo mlayeto niulethelwa ngemaphoyisa embube abambisene nomsakato wetithombe.
Welcome back. Asikuvusele sikumukele nawo losanza kusivulela lo mhla ehleleni Kusile Breakfast Show ngomsombuluko tilishumi nakuthathu enyangeni yeNdlovu lenkulu sakhulumisana naye umxhumanisi wamaphoyisa nesive kuva kokuthi impela somvu lesuka kiyo ihambe kanjani asibuka dona tigameko letibikiwe emaphoyiseni kule mphela sonto. Asikuvusele ephindile siyabonga ukuthi ubenathi lo mhla ekseni kumbe nje siyadluka ukuthi vele namhla kule mphela somvu lesibuya kiyo buku impela somvu yebukano lapho kanti bekunemsebenzi emakhosi ehlane ke singangeni kulo msebenzi ngifuna ukuthi sibuke nje ukuthi overall nje weekend eyihambe kanjani nasibuka nje ema cases mhlambe labikiwe emaphoyiseni engaba vele mhlambe kube ngitibi nje tigameko letibikiwe kule mpela somvu.
Siyabonga kakhulu tsatsethu siyavusela kuso sonke sive sakangwane ekseni. Sibonga ukuthi wonke umuntu ugijima kulesicubulo sethu salomnyaka lesithi kuphepha kwenu kuphepha kwethu sikanye kanye asilwe nebucala netingoti temgwaco. Lokhu ke tsatsethu sikubona ngemphumela wetintfo letendekako ukuthi cishe sive senkosi siyasibambisa kakhulu kulamalanga kulwa nabo bucala ngoba vele sihlale sisho ukuthi singemaphoyisa angeke sikhone kwenda lo msebenzi ngaphandle kokubanjiswa ngeso sive. So siyabona kakhulu ke kubanjiswa sive. Sibona ukuthi bayashayela abantu benkosi nakhona umonakalo labawubonako. Sikhona kusukuma masinyane siyosebenza kuleyo ndzawo. Bashayele abantu benkosi nakhona abantu lesibafunako ngebucala thide nangembala sigcine sibatfola bekunene baboshwe bawutiphendulela kulawo macala. lokho-ke kuyasithembisa ukuthi sive siyasibambisa. Siboneke necala amacala lebeka sihlasele kakhulu kulamalanga lesiwabita ngokuthi sive sithi mob justice but thina sithi mob killing ngoba ngeke sithi justice endiveni lengasilo licala. Sibone ema-mob killings nawo ucala lomnyaka sisikhulumisile-ke sivete inhlangothini letehlukehlukene. Siyabona-ke ukuthi sesinemalangana lesingawabala noma amancane kude lokwendekile lokufana nalokho lokusho kona ukuthi kuya ngakhona licala mhlambe lesingathi solo siyalibona alifuni kuphela licala lekubulalana sibe nabo nje kule mpelasonto labalimatene etindzaweni tekujabulisa kwagcina kuhamba umphefumulo emhlabeni lesithi-ke solo lokho kuyadzinga ukuthi sibukisane ukuthi singayilwa kanjani lenzaba. Kulenye nje indzawo eshiselweni kube nelijaha leliva ukuthi idzadze labathandzana naye sowugane umzala noma sihlobo sakhe wavele wahlasela wahamba waya kuleli khaya cabanga nje ihlobo labantu waya ka-andi wafike vele wabakhanza laba ababili washa ngemukhwa wagcina shona emhlabeni dzadze. Lekuyinfo lesithi phela sive senkosi siyacela ukuthi sifike la si-understanda khona ukuthi etikhathini tekuphila emalanga ngeke afanane. Ngenteka namhla vele umuntu akuthanze aze eme ngalunye elinyawo ngenteka kusasa ukuthi abangasakuthanzi ngetizatfu letehlukehlukene. Sitifundzise kukwemukela lokho ufune indlela tekuthi ungalwa njani nako kunekuthi kugcine sekulahleka yona emphefumulo. Ngakulokunye-ke sibone labo labashayeli banathile emigwaqweni lesi kuyinfo lesiyifundisile emalanga lendlulile noko solo kuyabonakala ukuthi kuyachubeka njengalokho bagcina baba ngu-22 lababoshwako kule mpelasonto baboshelwa kushayela imoto lobanathile. Asisho ukuthi kuleli cala leli kude umuntu lesilwisana naye singemaphoyisa lesiyayisikwende ukuthi sihlala phasi sibuke tingoti letendekako emgwaqweni ukuthi imbangela yaleto tingoti iyini bese-ke sifuna tindlela tekunciphisa ngokuthi sibophe kuleto tinhlangothi kungako sibe nema-road blocks sibe nema-speed traps etindzaweni thite utfola ukuthi kuleto tindzawo kuvame kuba nemacala so sesiyadama-ke ukuthi silwe nalobo noma tingoti bese silwa naleto tingoti ngalokuthi si-enforce lo mthetho kuleto tindzawo.
Ngako ka Facebook indzaba-ke ukuthi sekunetigebengu lesetingene lamasomfeni tifike tebe equipment yelisomvu ama-speakers but kuya bese niyabatfola labo bamvu labo ngabe vele mhlambe lawo ama-cases lasavame kangana nje navame kuphi nje kakhulu tipindzawo.
Siyabonga kakhulu Zathwethu leli cala sicale kulinothisa mhlambe kakhulu eminyakeni lo endlulile ukuthi sekuthengiswa tinfo temasonto kuyagcekezwa lesibe sesiyakudiscover-ke ukuthi vele lama-platforms ekuthengisa semaningi la ku-Facebook labantu bayathengisa tinfo bese siyashaya thina ngiyakufuna lokho sibahamba bawugweba sibone nje mathange bekuthengiswa amathange ku-Facebook lithange nasolifuna silihamba liyothathwa lomunye liletfwa kuwe. Sekayanza lamacala aloluhlobo nema-laptops nje ayathengiswa sibonile recently kube namacala leswa-break-out ukubona emkokwini nyalo abekhona lamanye lapha kubo University Christian University noma kubomawalala ayanza nje lamacala ukuthi kuthengiswe tinfo labanye kulamalanga baposta imisebenzi ukuthi kuyacashwa kwa-ABC sebantu seyabalethe emafomu sekunemali lobhadariswa yona ngensense vele lamacala lasebenzisa kakhulu tindzaba tebuchwepheshe sengiwo lasadlangile kulamalanga siyacela ukuthi sive asiwahlahle kakhulu emehlo khona nje lelivama ukutricka abantu labadzala kuthiwa cha fatana tinombolo nati bakubitela inombolo letilichungechunge kanti ngaleyo ndlela nawenda lokho wena so unikete lo muntu imali yakho ngaleyo ndlela siyacela ukuthi sive asitinake kakhulu tinfo letinjengaleto kude la kufanele ukuthi ugcine ufaka iPin number yakho khona kude la kufanele ukuthi uthenge kumuntu wena uthenga nje emoyeni ungamadi ukuthi isitulo sakhe sikuphi nekuthi uticuphaphi leto tinfo leto asitenetise siyati kona ukuthi ngenxa mhlambe kweswela imali sifuna tinfo ezishiphile kepha ngeke ukusiteke ukuthi so ithengile lento ngalo 2000 leya 15000 akubambe amaphoyisa aphinza ayithathe so lahlele kwe-2000 ulahlekelwe nangile mbadla lobothi sonayo wena.
Njengaletote kunanama-groups vele ka-WhatsApp especially la khona bamfu bangakhona kuposta timvo labathengisako especially nangabe tibo i-second hand ingavela mhlambe i-advice nje leyo enganiketa bamfu ngaphambi kokuthi bathenge le timvo ende kumele batende because labanye mhlambe vele bathengisa vele ngoba kugenuine abakadebindzawo but-ke yinde kumele bayicaphele uma ngabe basaviwa leyo product leyo labayithengisako.
Ngiyabonga kakhulu Tsatsethu. Umfulo kwecala langakusho ukuthi invele kahle kusebenza advert emthethweni. Sinato titolo la veni letithengisa ema-auctions. Singatibala siyadadi. Lokho kungilokusemthethweni. Leyo muntu uyabe usutifakela leyo markup yakhe. Unale license lo muntu u-operator official. Ngoba lokhu akaphephi kwa nakuwe wena uthengisako. Lokho ukuthi nje ulathi exposure through ema-platforms online uthi wena uthengisa kokuthi nokuthi kwawena kokufaka engodini kutogcina ukuthi abozilana sengisuthengisa abosofa kuthi abozilana landlini yakho bakubone ukuthi wena uhlala la badadishe letinye tindvu. So it's better to be safe kunekuthi utende ngathi wena ungakhona kwenda tindvu asikadalelwa vele noma asikatrainwa ngakulolo hlangothi vele udibitela emantike emsele nje na utawuthi datithengisela mina ngingarecommenda lokho ngoba vele nasingathi sifuna indlela ethi ungagwema kanjani ke uyawuthola ukuthi akusikho lula lapho.
Yeah, I think sisele yonke indzaba nje egebenga abantu ephiko. I think sikubonile sekubuyile futhi especially nyalo ngalokuthi vele bogogo sebacalile ukuhola futhi solukhona leyo mvulo vele lobashayela kuloshayela abantu futhi incingo ngibabonile nje labanye baposta ka Facebook acaphilisa labanye asenda afaka nale nombolo emuva ukuthi icaphelana inombolo naye ngumvulo na uyashayelana kutshele ukuthi boleka imali kanjani njani so holile yini vele ngabe vele mhlambe labo bamflaba siyabona bayanza phiko ikhona le breakthrough kulabo bantu labo ukuthi imgcineni batfolile labo labalotha abantu abadala.
Siyabonga kakhulu Tsatsethu kwentela kube impumelelo kubita ukuthi kube nekubambisana kakhulu kade nalama service providers lahlukehlukene ngoba uthola ukuthi labantu banetinombolo vele le ke siya isibuke ukuthi njengaloku livela kangwane uhulumende wenda indlela ukuthi sisati ukuthi le nombolo le yabani kubangiloko ukuthi sibambisane nalama service providers kuze ukuthi laba bekuleli sikhone kubathola sinebudlelwane lobuhle ke nabo kulesinye isikhathi nje sike sakubuka ukuthi nasekwentekile vele masinyane na usiniketa le nombolo sesiyimisa le nombolo legangako ukusebenza kuze ukuthi lo mnikati sitogcina semtfola akhone ukutophendulela ngalokho lokwendekile ke ngekwanza kuma service providers vele sothola ukuthi setinenge leti nombolo letigangako sisehlelweni nje ke singemaphoyisa ukuthi sihlangane vele nawo onke ama service providers sibukisane ukuthi likhambi lingaba yini ngoba achubeka vele lamacala kakhulu cishe ngelanga akwendeke kubebede ama cases leswatfolako labanye babashaya ngetimali tabo rent kune rent la umuntu nje angaqinisa ukuthi vele sive asesihlahle emehlo kakhulu etindzabeni talama platforms ethu lamahle wona but asente isiqiniseko sekuthi siya verify kahle esikhathini esiningi ukuthi umuntu uyakunokha ubona ngokuthi bese uyakujaka suyakujaka nothisa nje kakhulu nasapho ukuthi lomfu utawusala kani so ucala kwata so uba nelilaka nje lolukabi nothisa lapho ukuthi khona ke lokungahambi kahle ngoba vele uma ngabe phela bekugenuine kuyindlu nje rentiswa angibone kusasa phela why bese ebusuku usuyangiphusha ukuthi ngidayiluza no phela kusho beyitabe bengasiyo yami beketela nje ungayi ngale pressure yalo muntu wonke isiqiniseko sekuthi uyafika uyadenetisa buda nakubomakhelwane ukuthi vele nguyeni umnikati walendlu ngoba labanye utakumikisa nakula kulendlu khanze ukuthi vele ayisiyo yakhe so ubhadera imali awusaphinza umthole siyacela ukuthi sive vele aswahlahle kakhulu emehlo abantu labadzala ke singacela labasivako vele butisisa kubantfana batukule ekhaya ukuthi lona uthi angente naku nanako naye nakakushayela solakujaka usitawuthola 700 wabogogo umtshele ukuthi nangabe uwami ngidamthola noma nginini ngibeketelele ngize ngikuve kahle konke lokushoko kumcoko ukuthi utenetise ngemali yakho ungayikhokhi.
I think sasingena nje ke indzaba yekwebiwa kwetimoto nayo indzaba le matima kulamalanga I think nihleni sivetela nje ngemaphoyisa ukuthi nicela nisibambise sisive ukuthi kutholakale na imoto yehlobo nalo le kusolakala ukuthi lebi ngabe vele mhlambe nalo lidzinga lekwebiwa kwaleti moto linganani nje kuleti khathi tamanje.
Siyabonga kakhulu Mthombeni uthinza indzaba nayo lesiyibonile kulamalanga ivela kakhudlwana salandzelela ke satfola ukuthi okay indzaba yokulahleka kwetimoto vele isetshenziswa kakhulu ngilaba labagangako bozidlani labafuna ukugcekeza ma robbery cases isikhathi esiningi bayithatha ngoba bafuna kumove from point A to point B nabaceza lokho kulesinye isikhathi bese bayilahla kulokunye ke bayathatha leti moto ngekuthi mhlambe bafuna ama parts bafuna kucuya ama parts bakhona ukuthengisela labanye silinake kakhulu licala lelo, sihlahle emehlo vele likhozi, siphumile, sibiyele kakhulu, very intensive ekupatroleni ebusuku to ensure ukuthi kude tinto leti njengaleto letendekako, nekukuthi ke siphumile sasifundzisa sive, siyabavakashela kakhulu ngisho nasemabhizinisini siyofundisa ngesive ukuthi i-security singayicinisa kanjani individually etinfeni tetfu tonke. So singacela nje ukuthi sive sichubeke vele siwafake ama-gadgets latasisita ngafaka khathi ama-alarms etimotweni, mhlambe sikhiye ne-steering kumbe sikhiye nelisondo sikhiye neligiya tinfethi kanjalo tiya-enhancer la kule security. Labanye ke vele they go to as far zikufaka ama-car tracker lokusita-ko kakhulu-ke nako njengaleti ivamisile kuchamuka e-South Africa kulamalanga nje lawa khona lesiyitfolile beyibuye e-South Africa sayitfola khona la Eswatini. Kuyalekelela-ke lokuthi sifake nalama-devices la sezingeni lelisetulu kuyasisita nasisa-tracker leto timoto. Nekucela-ke ukuthi vele asivale emabhizinisini ngesikhathi. Lokunye ukhanza siba-target alamabhizinisi lata awuvala ukhanza kufanele savale nga-7 but solubona ukuthi iflow yabantu isekhona so uyabekebeketela kuze kusho abo-8 sebagcine bam-attack-ke ngaleyo ndlela bathatha leto timali. Nakhona siyacela ukuthi asicinise kakhulu nawe nje ungusomabhizinisi banayo i-security yakho letawenda ukuthi noma ngabe sekunjani ishaye alarm nangabe ayikakhona ukuthi ingakubamba. Nekusheshe siwatiyele-ke amaphoyisa nasekukhona lokwendekile kuyasisita. Lokunye lesikubonile ukusibambisa ngendzaba yama-CCTV cameras etindzaweni tetfu tekusebentela kakhulu emabhizinisini kuyasisita-ke sikhone ukuthi siyabalandelela laba bekunene siyabatfola bayaboshwa.
Singena nje indzaba yekulahleka kwabantu ama-missing persons biko nayo ngilenye leyo lenkhulu lenhlala nje vele nayo nibaposta labamfu labalahlekile. Ingabe nanibuka nje vele lizinga lekulahleka kwabo because nipost nabamfana nabo labalahlekile kepha ngenhlahla lenhleni bese niyaposta futhi nithi hayi so utfolakele. Kuvame kuba ama-situations la kanjani usuke alahleke akuphi nani batfola labamfu kusuke kukhona inzima sevele seyidlalile ukuthi batfolakale labo bamfu labo.
Siyabonga kakhulu sothu umuntu angacala ngako vele kusibonga sive kakhulu le vele solo sisibambisa. Sibonile ukuthi following ya Facebook inyuke kakhulu lokusho ukuthi vele khona sivele esiningi lesikhona ngale kubo mahlala ekhikhini lesisitawo. Sithi nasipostile nje tinto leti njengaleto vele sititfole letincingo. Ngiyakhumbula nje the latest kwebiwa kwemoto timoto natleta tfolakala ta-St Marks. Bantu bashayela ebusuku basitshela ukuthi nathi inyalo tengcangala nathi inyalo setingala babesibambisa abantu benkosi sagcina sititfola vele ngako kona lokho. Nalabantu ke lesibaposta ku Facebook ukuthi umuntu ulahlekile sibonile ukuthi sive siyasibambisa baye bese basitshela ukuthi wona ungala. Kulahleka kwabantu ke lo invamsa lokwendeka kuba ukuthi bantfana bathathwa bobhuti khanze ukuthi umfana so kanebhuti thide so umthetho sohambe naye kanomfana under age. Sigcina sibatfola ngaleyo ndlela ke ukuthi sebayasho la khaya ukuthi ulalo mfana ukubanibani. Siyacela ukuthi sichubeke vele sive sisibambise nangabe ebhuti ekhaya senimbona ujumsa umfana niyambona ukuthi lo mncane lo mfana lo sincinde indlebe simaphoyisa vele sidawusukuma sithathele tinyathelo. Umuntu angakhumbuta nje siveni ukuthi umfana lomncane noma angavuma ukuthi uyakuthanda ngekwemthetho ude emandla ekuvuma. So nguwe wena lo mvumisile lutawubekwa licala ngeke yena abe nelicala. Asikucaphele kakhulu sive ukunakelela ukuthi umuntu futhi othandzana naye uneminyaka lengakanani. Lokunye ke lesikubonile etsathwethu ukuthi bantu ngaphandle nje ukuthi balahleke kulahleka bantu kakhulu kade bobabe bayatibulala kudlanga kakhulu indzaba yama-suicide kulamalanga. Nalaba nje labalahlekile solo sihleli siyadibuta singabe la khona uyaphila yini. Kuhlasela umoya wekutibulala kakhulu kulamalanga. Labanye baze batibulale abulale nebantfana. Akumalele iviki leliphelile nje kube nababe lo hamba kuyovusela abantu bakhe ekhabo make nakafika bamhlangabeda-ke bantfana abajabulile labancane lababili noma labadzala lababili lo mncane useta namakwakhe ngemuva. Nabafika labo wababakhumza invothide bawaphasi bantfana yaphela indzaba naye wabakhuma khona lapho naye ngalokunjalo walandzela washiya emhlabeni. Lekutinfo leti lesekubonakala ukuthi tidlangile vele abantu babulala abantwana babulale nabo batali. Lo mnye make nje kumalanga lathide ukwatiswe ngiso singani sakhe wakwata wagijima ekhaya wafika wadlisa umfana walendvodza lokho lokungasikho kahle. Sithi nje sive senkosi understand ukuthi itimoto ingaba khona kepha nalikhambi likhona asingadibulali nangabe sesibita ukuthi sikhweshe singathi sikwatile la sikhona khona kulungile lokho but akube khona lo mtshela ukuthi wena sohambile mhlambe uye South Africa mhlambe uye kube kuphi sati lokuthi uphephile la ukhona khona
ko besebendiwe bemakhosi webugane ehlane uhambe kanjani kubebede imisimvo lebesiba khona bese yathi ukuthi la kuneba khona labaningi especially mangabe bathe kunathanatha kancane bese kuba naleyo msimvo ngabe vele ihambe kanjani impela somvo khona ehlane
Thombeni sibulale amabhodlela esiveni siyabonga kakhulu indlela labasibambise ngayo kuningi lebonga gatsa njengalokho usho nje abantu bebajabulile badlile impela sasesibutha nje labanye kepha nje kude lokwendekile lokusigigaba siyadvumisa kakhulu kude tingoti leti khona netimpahla kwanye lokusede lesiva ukuthi tilahlekile kona satawubiyela soshanyela kahle nyalo sidabatisa abantu benkosi ukuthi bangatitfola phi konoko siyathemba ukuthi stage lesizotana njengaloku simunye bangabe sebathinza amaphoyisa sesimunye nangabe khona lokulahlekile siyawugcina khona konke siyadvumisa kakhulu akuchubeke kube njalo Eswatini
yevakala sibonga kakhulu uPhiko ngaloyo mbiko loyo wempela somvo ngikule besikhulumisana naye Superintendent Phindile Vilakade asiniketa nje ukuthi ingabe impela somvo lesuka kiyo ihambe kanjani asibuka dona digigaba letibikwe khona emaphoyiseni especially emakethe sitabuya sikhulume ngetemidlalo.
Why should we pay our TV license?
The content on our local television is actually more up to date. The industry is enhanced.
It is a criminal offense not to pay your TV license and attracts a fine of 500 emalangeni or 6 months imprisonment.
And the industry is definitely blooming, ladies and gentlemen. So that's what we have for you. But we'll be right back just after the break and we'll give you more of Miss V.
Pay my TV license. That's why I can enjoy the benefits of an enhanced industry and keep track with recent transformation.
Mommy, who pays for a TV license and what are they paying for?
The owners of TV set and the gadget with a tuner like DVD set have to pay.
Pay your TV license at NetBank with the details provided on screen. Or use your cell phone via the mobile money pay. You could also visit your nearest post office and pay there. Pay your TV license via Eswatini Mobile Imali. Any TV device retailer can purchase a license to trade. Pay your TV license and enhance the industry.
Asizwe sinemukele sakuvuselana nolosanza kuzivulela kulesikhathi sisitabuka dona temidlalo lebetendeka ngempela somvo sinaye Linda Master Dlamini Nsoseli efete emidlalo losekela kabantu kakhulukati nge-M10 Premier League elebe ichubeka this weekend. Nkosi, good morning, welcome. Kathi sakugcina. Sobuyile.
Siyabonga Lulu ngitithola ukhulumvusele wona ama-loyal viewers ekusile breakfast show njoba usho ukuthi M10 Premier League. This past weekend sibone emagoli ashayiwe emidlalweni nje yonke ledlaliwe ngeweekend kushaya amagoli ang-25 so ungabona lokuthi ema teams awashaye kangakanani amagoli. On Saturday sabona i-Young Buffaloes evuna imvula yemagoli 6-2 against Manzini Seabirds. Then itolo bekunema games lamakhulu kakhulu lapho kuqale khona imbabane Swallows icala nayo iManzini Wanderers. Sawukhumbula ukuthi iManzini Wanderers ifika kule game eyitolo ibuya kokhala phasi ku Denver Sundowns nga 5-0. So vele igemini eyitolo bokadzile ukuthi amagoli angene, and first half sibone amagoli lang 3 asavele asangenile. So ungabona ukuthi i second half balandzeli beManzini Wanderers bese batshelile ukuthi nangilomnye 5 nangilomnye 6 nangilomnye 7 njengoba sikubonile kwenteka kulamanye ema teams ngeshiya kwetlwandle. Kodwa nje ngicabanga ukuthi it was a beautiful day overall. Nawubuka the way ema teams ladlale ngayo. Yes, Felix, he can't stop scoring. Felix can't stop scoring. Igoli lakhe leli le-17 nawubuka ku league, and ne former player ke yayo iManzini Wanderers Nelisa Tiger ukorile itolo, and lekungijabulisile ukuthi kukora kwakhe itolo ukhombise kuyihlonipha licembu leManzini Wanderers wanga celebrate wavela phakamisa leto tandla ukuthi I've got nothing against iManzini Wanderers. Football is business. So ngicabanga ukuthi igcina winile yona imbabane Swallows ngamagoli amane ecanzeni lele gcina nje lisha yongwanda uSamba Chive, but igemini lebe siyalandzela lulu i-team lehlete sicongweni iGreen Mamba bedlala nembabana Highlanders liyaceza number 2 last season eAfrica, and lengibukele kule game le lulu li Green Mamba legcine iwinile. Green Mamba they play like a team, like ama-champions nangingayibeka kanjalo. Sabelo Sikhali wakanzinisa every day uyaprove ukuthi he's one of the best, one of the greatest strikers lesike saba nawo in local football. Imbabana Highlanders ngicabanga ukuthi lokunye lokuyimoshile kule game lelulu ite kule game lena inema injuries lamane kakhulu. Bekangekho Peter, bangekho i-right back yabo, kuningi nje Thomo lodlala as a number 6 as a holding midfielder. Itolo icale adlala number 4. So unga imagine ke ukuthi Khabo Mbabane Highlanders the injuries labanawo abalimete kanganani, but second half coach ubese soya wende ama changes wende 4 ama changes at a go. Umfakile Bereng, wamfaka Bonkosi Manyovu, wamfaka yena incumbi nje badlali 4 njengoba ngisho the 2 sengiyabakhohlwa, but 4 wazama kwenda lawo ma changes lawo, kodwa Tinvo tangashintshi. Ngicabanga ukuthi njengoba ngisho ukuthi Green Mamba igcina iwinile Green Mamba ngamagoli amathathu ecanzeni le njengoba ngisho ukuthi Green Mamba they play like ama champions, ba deserve noma ba justify ukuthi why babe number 1 kulokba for imbabana Highlanders. Ngicabanga ukuthi they need yes na Fabrice Mopina uyingenela, they need a reliable goal scorer, because as much as they can play yona imbabana Highlanders, but better that reliable goal scorer. Lokunye ke ukuthi even nale midfield yabo itolo beyingekho aggressive ukuthi beyingadlala against the likes of Mxolisi Mkhonto nabakhetho Mkhonto naNjabulo Thwala, beyingekho aggressive enough. So ngicabanga ukuthi kuma games uyaplanela ukuthi I'm going to play iGreen Mamba lenema midfielders la kanje, I need very aggressive midfielders lata compete nama opponents.
Just briefly nje masina sibuka nje EPL kunamela somva ukuthi yona idlala kanjani.
EPL tinvo kulamanye ama teams akahambile kahle. Sibonile ngamgcibelo iLiverpool ikhala phasi kuBournemouth ngelgolinye ecanzeni lapho khona even Mohamed Salah wagesha ipenalty. iLiverpool ibuya koshaya yona iManchester United evikini leliphelile ngamagoli ang7-0. So wonke move bayagatha ukuthi yona iLiverpool iwine kuBournemouth. Then Manchester City bedlala neCrystal Palace yawina yaphuma ngesamagundvani nga1-0 ligoli lepenalty lelashaya nguHaaland una 28 ke amagoli ku league. Then itolo bedlala Malok Leaders iArsenal le wine ku Fulham away. In fact Arsenal onke ama games lewadlala eLondon derbies lewadlalile lang 6 this season ikhonile ukuthi iwawine onke, ikhonile ukuthi ingangenisi ekhaya shothi wine wonke yangaconcede onke lokufaka ikhathi Chelsea, lokufaka ikhathi Tottenham, lokufaka ikhathi Crystal Palace, lokufaka ikhathi yona iFulham, lokufaka ikhathi bo Brentford, onke lamaqembu lawo. I-Manchester United nayo beyidlala ne-Southampton, idrawile ke le game leyo nga 0-0 la sibona khona Casemiro athola ikhadi libovu in 3 games uthole i-red card, lokusho ukuthi inyalo yena Casemiro because straight red nakuqala wathola straight red, wahlala imidlalo lemithathu inyalo soda uhlala 4 games angadlali, yena lochamuka impilo yakhe yonke azange lithola i-red card adlalela eMadrid, but bekaqala na last month nakathola i-red card, kuthola i-red card adlalela i-team seyesibili lena solafikile ku-English Premier League.
Alright, siwakhulu ama-slides 2 minutes before 8 o'clock. Abasiniketa nje ukuthi impela sonke ihambe kanjani kudo temidlalo. Sibahlela tumakethe SBS topheza lihlelo.
Pay your TV license quickly and easily with MTN Momo. Simply dial *007 *3 hash and select option 8 for TV license. Enter your national ID number as your reference and the amount you wish to pay. Then enter your PIN to confirm your payment. Once your payment has been made, you'll receive a confirmation SMS of your payment. If you're a first-time payer, you get another SMS for your TV license. So legalize your entertainment from the comfort of your home. Pay your TV license the easy and convenient way with MTN Momo.
Everywhere you go, MTN.
Awusevelisha insimbi yesiphohlongo lamhla ekseni sibangela ukuthi nibe nathi lamhla ehlelweni ku-Kusile Breakfast Show sicala lona liviki sethemba ukuthi indaba neliviki lelihle nelibusekisekile nisale kahle sanibona kusasa.